What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your sun sign or rising sign or both full moon horoscope for this full moon in Libra, April 5th, 2023. Truly appreciate you all very much. Hope everybody's doing outstanding. I appreciate you for joining me for this live. It's been a long time since I've done sun sign horoscopes on this channel, but I feel like you guys will like it, so I'm excited to do it and bring another layer to my channel, I suppose. So we're looking at a full moon in Libra. It is going to be at 9:34 p.m. on the west coast, 16 degrees. Boom. It is a spiritual degree, right? 6 plus 1 make a 7. Tomorrow we're actually going to see that moon come into this third decan, this 20-degree range of Libra, and it's going to be in a yod with Neptune and Venus in sextile. So I do think that today, this full moon, and even tomorrow, there's definitely like the hand of God's kind of coming in to like bring balance to situations in our life. It's definitely trying to, get us into alignment, but it can feel hard. It can feel a little, there can be definitely some wounds flaring up. Sun Chiron day today, and Sun Chiron in opposition to this full moon. So, trying to navigate different projection fields. So much of Libra is dealing with the other. Venus deals with the other. Venus, Neptune. So we're trying to definitely figure out how to get things in alignment. I think this is a big healing full moon. It's really trying to show us inner strength in our lives, to stay true to our values, to stay true to who we are, to be confident, and to not let the outside world kind of manipulate our emotions, I think. Kind of take us for a ride. So, trying to figure out how to do that, and it does deal with people heavily. So, very interesting. So, we're going to go through, of course, all 12 signs. I already did a horoscope for this, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse and do a horoscope twice, but nonetheless, this is what we're going to look at for everybody's sign. So, I got my little sun sign horoscopes here. So I appreciate everybody for joining, and yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you appreciate this. Yeah, it's nice to do lives. It's nice to see you guys. I appreciate it. 41 in the chat already. That's what's up. I want to scream. I wanted to scream when I woke up today a little bit, not going to lie. But it was a really good day. There was a part of me that wanted to scream for certain situations going on in my life. But gosh, is it really worth it? I don't think it is. So instead, Lauren and I had a great day together. We went on a really nice walk. It's a beautiful day in Dana Point. Walked along the beach. It was nice. We haven't had a really somewhat warm day in Southern California in a while. They've been maybe sunny, but a lot of rain, and it's been cold. And today there was actually you could feel some heat from the sun, so that was nice too. So it was good. So at least, kind of shifted things. And, it's been good. So, hope you guys are doing well. It's intense. I told you guys in the horoscope, this is an intense full moon. Tomorrow brings another level of that, but it's trying to get us right somehow, some way. So, I appreciate you guys. I almost lost it today, too. Yeah, I almost lost it. It takes a lot for me to lose it, but I'm getting better the older I get. I know what's important and what's true and what's not, and do I really need to roll around in a situation that it is what it is? So, all right, let's do some horoscopes. We will start with Aries. All right, Aries. Of course, it is Sun in your first, Chiron, Jupiter. It's been a pretty loaded first house for you in this Aries season. Mercury was there. Mercury's now in your second house. But this full moon is in the 7th. So definitely for Aries, this is bringing up a lot of relationship stuff. You could definitely feel heightened emotion, especially leading up for the next 2 weeks. You can kind of start to see different aspects that are emotionally trying to find alignment here. Everything's kind of peaked out. Everything's right in front of you, so people can be right in your face. Situations that with contracts you've made can be right in your face, and you could be feeling these things. Everything's definitely trying to come to a balance point here for you, and it does come back to your first house. And Chiron there, like, you got to remember, like, you have to illuminate the authority for your life here and not let other people run the show here, call the shots. Like, you got to get real Aries, I feel like, right now. I think you have to do it from a Pluto now in your 11th house kind of perspective. You got to do it from, like, okay, well, how do we be, of course, Libra, diplomatic in situations? How do we kind of look at how everybody has their opinion, how everything can kind of come together? We can find connection here, but, it also comes from, I think, being a little detached from some of the emotion to find what's really connected and what's really, going in a direction that feels like it's your direction. So I think that Aries really have to bring the focus back to themselves. But I think there can be so much emotion in what's going on outside of yourself in different ways. So how do you kind of tone it back to yourself, but understand that this is helping you move forward? This is helping you, especially for you, Aries, you got your ruling planet Mars in Cancer. So, your fourth house, your seventh house, your first house are really amplified during this time. So, like, it's identity work, it's emotional work. I think it has a lot to do with your ego and, like, the healing of that ego, which is going to help you be a proper diplomat for situations if they're out of alignment, or how to understand other people, or how to brush things off. Because this moon's disposited by Venus. Venus is your second house ruler, your seventh house ruler, and it is in that second house. Like, you really have to know your worth, know your value, and it's making a really nice sextile over to Neptune in Pisces in your 12th. And Saturn's in your 12th too. So especially for Aries, like, you could be dealing with a hidden enemy type situation. You could be dealing with a very, heavy sort of projection field, especially. And that can be hard to navigate. And, it's just not a time to play martyr. This is like really using your healing, Aries, to step up, make the right shifts, and start things. A lot of cardinal houses for you. A lot of angular, big energy. So how do you start things based on maybe working through things in a more mature way spiritually, in a more compassionate way? I think you need to have a lot of compassion for yourself. You have to have a lot of self-love right now. You cannot let the exterior take you away, but also at the same time, like, you have to be open and honest about your own, maybe wounds with Chiron and the sun there this week. Like, you also can't just be like, it's everybody else, not me. So I think there is that balance where you have to have that come to that objective point and be like, okay, I understand this is my wound that I need to deal with right now. And it's maybe getting a projection field through the other into my life so that I can resolve some situations within myself that I've been looping. So I think that a lot of compassion for self and for others, even though it can be a little triggering for you, Aries, I'm not going to lie, and your ruling planet is Mars in your fourth house in Cancer. Like, it can definitely be a pretty emotionally triggering day. You're going to have to take deep breaths. You're going to have to act emotionally. You're going to have to understand that it's more of an intuitive emotional response right now that's going to bring balance and, get things into the alignment that you might be searching for. Uranus is there at 17 degrees of Taurus. It's in quincunx to this moon that's full in your 7th. So you're at a really kind of weird juxtaposition here between owning your own values and your uniqueness and kind of doing things your own way, and, other people maybe having other ideas or ideals or different ways of how things should get done. I guess that it's about communication too. Like, Mercury is also in your second house. So remember to communicate. It's Rahu, it's the North Node. It's not like the easiest place. Mercury doesn't mind it, to be honest, but you're going to have to say what's true to you, what's valuable, what's on your mind, and be solid. And I don't think you have to, like, rush things either mentally or what needs to be expressed. But when you get the emotional response, I think you're going to want to speak up to certain things that really matter. And not just, definitely not kind of play backseat or passive. So I think this is an interesting full moon for you, to say the least, Aries. It's finding a balance. It's like the sweet spot in life, and with people, and with contracts in life, and everything that you've built a relationship to. And, understanding that it's not just other people, it's not just you. What's the sweet spot? What is the truth of what's real and what has shown up in a real way, while still keeping a positive outlook on things that can progress moving forward, that can be real with people, that can be real with yourself, that can build something strong and, aligned. So that's what I got for you, Aries. Taurus rising. Well, you got Mercury now in your first house with the North Node. Venus, your ruling planet's in your first house. So you definitely have a lot of kick going on right now, but this full moon in your 6th house is an interesting factor to that because it's opposite the Sun and Chiron in your 12th. So where I think you have this maybe idea or this understanding or this, thing that you want to get started, or this way that you understand yourself differently now. Certain things are kind of popping for you. There's a humbling in the 6th house with this moon. It can definitely, bring up situations where the ego feels like it's getting a little popped, especially with Uranus in your first, quincunx that moon. It can feel like weird situations that you are acting on are either not showing up in a way that feels pure, or, I think especially for you with the moon in your 6th, you really want to trust your body right now. How does your body feel in certain situations? Do you feel like you need to change something up to get things a little bit more aligned, to find a little bit more of the right balance? Or are you just kind of doing really weird things? I think it's okay to do weird things. I think that it's okay that you're having this pop of, maybe expression, even Pluto now in your 10th house. Maybe really, let's make a mark on the world, right? But does it bring service? Does it, come from a humble place? And I think that that's the big thing with this 6th, 12th house axis for you, which is always a humbling one in some sense, is because there is a projection field too with the 12th house. And there is sort of a subconscious, area that's getting illuminated and identified, especially for you with Aries as your 12th house, that deals too with this, masculine sort of presence in your life. You got to be able to define and act, especially with so much in your first house and a North Node there. But Chiron's kind of having you need to go, find faith too. You need to trust. Remember that things are going to work out. If something feels like it's completely off, or it's just dirty right now, or your body or something feels like it's off, or there's dirt, this is a time to clean things up. I think that that's a big thing, is the 6th house, what can be purified to a better level because it's not really working out, or it's bringing you some emotional grief. Or it feels like there has to be some kind of an emotional atonement maybe to go after the things that you do want in life. But I think it's also coming to a spiritual place of realizing that there's a more sort of enlightened way to go about things based on your intuition, based on your faith, based on really deeper feelings of how to act that will bring more value into your life, which I know you love value. And of course, your ruling planet Venus is going to be sextile Neptune in your 11th. So I do think that this brings up, interesting points for people too. It's a full moon in Libra in your 6th. This can bring up situations with work relationships, your relationship to yourself and other people in the world. Saturn in your 11th, so people are getting brought up all, left, right, center for you also. Are people taking you out of your sense of self or what you want to go do, or, making you feel like, it's not really working out? Or are people kind of showing you the vision and helping you see maybe different parts of yourself that are giving you an opportunity to change and really mold reality? I think a full moon in your 6th is a great opportunity to let go of similar patterns and similar things that maybe go on and on, maybe whether it's diet, whether it's, some kind of a daily routine. A little shift can go a long way. And even the 11th house is trying to kind of break you out too and say, well, how do you do it more your way? Which I think will be great for you with the North Node and with Mercury and Venus all in your first house and Uranus in your first. I do think you need to do it your own way, but you need to do it also from a humble place too. And not get so serious, because also if you're too serious right now, you'll stress yourself out, and then your body is going to hurt. And that's why. It's It's because like you also have to release with a full moon in the sixth house this, guilt or stress, or, it could be some unconscious stuff too that's really hard to understand. That's why I think for you, it's like really important to feel, especially for a Taurus, like your senses are everything, right? Touch, taste, smell. These are so important. Like your physical senses right now are helping your subconscious kind of like heal something and make a change that's getting you into a more powerful sense of who you are. And you have Jupiter in your 12th, and Jupiter in the 12th isn't like a fun, transit. Like, I'll be honest, it amplifies a lot of sort of karmic situations, a lot of projection, a lot of different patterns and habits that we need to get out of. But it's also an angel on your shoulder. So even if things feel hard right now, or, it could feel like you have to put in more work than ever with Pluto in your 10th now and a full moon in your 6th, remember to take a break, relax at the same time. Like, you have to find balance between 12th and 6th. So I think that that's important too. Like, remember, like, get back to your spiritual practices at time. If you just get too soaked up emotionally in your relationship to reality, you'll get stressed out. We all have to have some kind of escape. And I think that it's good to have some escape. I really do. Because if we just go way too sixth house, we will lose our minds. So, like, how can you take a break and really get back to your sense of self? And how can you shift something up that could change a bit of your routine that's making you feel more like yourself while trusting your body in the process? Because your body will know. So I think that's really important for you. Mars is also in your 3rd house, which I think is helping you make things, decisions quickly. Even though it's in Cancer, like, it's working well for you. And it's also sextile the North Node, sextile North Node, sextile Mercury in your 1st. Like, this is a good time, I think, for you to, like, get the mental hit about a feeling or a situation and act on it. Try things. I think for you, it's definitely like, how mutable can you be while starting the things that really feel connected and true, and finding relationships that match that frequency also. So, hope that's helpful, Taurus. Geminis. All right, Gemini. You got a full moon in your 5th. Not a bad place, except it's full and it's heightening the emotion. So I think there is this, like, want for romantic situations, especially Libra in the 5th. A want for, or an emotional sort of need to feel secure romantically, or an expression of love that, is it working out that way or is it not? I don't think you want to let that throw you off. I think you just have to be objective too. And that's the 11th house. So I think that this is a time where you might want something that will make you feel really good, really happy, really creative right now. But I think if you're too fixated on it having to do with just another person, you have to kind of shift that a little bit and get back to yourself. And get back to your own unique sort of individuality, how you can kind of, find freedom that you might be looking for. So I think that you're at a interesting place, but not a bad place, Gemini, this week. And with this, really the next 2 weeks as we're closing out this cycle, whatever's blocking you from creativity needs to kind of be dealt with. Whatever's maybe blocking you emotionally from romance needs to be dealt with. I think you're like you're kind of solving equations that are pretty complicated this week, especially Sun Chiron in your 11th. Like, these equations are actually not as complicated as you want to make them. It just takes like a step back. So it's like taking a step back, seeing what people, what groups are helping you feel more creative, and finding balance there, instead of maybe putting so much emotion into something or just yourself that's actually maybe isolating or making you feel some type of way about other people. I mean, I'll be honest, like Chiron and the Sun in the 11th and Aries, like, you could kind of want to be a little bit of a loner right now, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think you do need to take a step back from situations, because this is like, there could be big emotional needs, kind of wants for this happiness, this full self-expression. But maybe if you're too tied up in something with someone else, or putting too much of that into someone else, then you're not able to receive it for yourself. So it's like a mix of both too. Like you got to find balance between doing your own thing, being unique, being individual, innovating in your life, not thinking that your experiments in life are going to be your downfall with Chiron there, but knowing that it's okay to kind of experiment right now for your creativity, your happiness, your love, different aspects that you can fully express yourself. So I think that that's where you're getting things in alignment, is what's taking you away from your full sense of self. And do you have the objective awareness to pull back? Or do you see where maybe different people in life could be trying to help you identify and open up this creative box in your life? And are you willing to also align more with that? So I think you're in a mix of like finding tribe energy right now with sort of like meets like. And that can be sensitive. Moon in the 5th, full. It can be a couple weeks here where it's like, gosh, everything I want, nobody else wants. Or everything everybody else wants everybody just wants me to do everything and give everything to them. But, how can both sides come to a win, and how can you really also, be in your creative, spirit at the same time? You also have a stacked 12th. Like, we can't forget about that. And your ruling planet Mercury just came into your 12th. And it is sextile Saturn, and North Node sextile Saturn in your 10th. So I think it's like understanding too that you have like a lot of spiritual responsibility to maybe express and to go through right now. And maybe it does involve some alone time. This is almost like Gemini, you have to kind of take a step back at the moment. You have to kind of like feel things and understand your feelings. And Venus is there. It's making a nice sextile over to Neptune in your 10th. I think for you to really see how far up the mountain you can go and what you can really dedicate to, you have to really find what it is of value spiritually, or what it is of, different senses of even things that you're overlooking, and how can you like pay attention to patterns that are, not working. And I think the best way to do that is to take, you might want to give yourself a timeout. By like maybe, and not even have to call it a timeout, but really like maybe sit with yourself for a minute, draw, do something creative, listen to music, meditate, something that can take you away from reality a little bit, and have you, so hyper focused on the day-to-day grind and all these things that you have to be responsible for, but instead maybe, vision board for things that you want to create, really put positive intent out there. Because I think this is a great time for you to find some like amazing creative spark and wisdom. It's just coming from a deeper place that you're probably not going to find, by cleaning something up on your desk. Or like, washing the car again. Or taking 2 showers a day. Like just take one and like spend the rest of your time finding a balance between like being productive, but also taking that necessary time to work and understand different creative endeavors in your life. And Mars is also sextile the North Node in your 12th, and Mercury in your 12th, and it's in your 2nd. And I think that that's another great opportunity to slow things down. Slow things down, smell the roses, like act on the things that provide some sense of value and like sensuality to your life. And emotion too, Mars in Cancer. So I think this is an interesting time because I think you're feeling like Saturn in your 10th now, and you're like, okay, it's been here for, a month almost. Like, I feel like I got things to do, or responsibilities are kicking in, and they are, and you're going to do things. Trust me, but take the time to find out what creative things you really want to dedicate to, and what really feels right, and what really feels like it's the security within yourself you desire, that is not just a reflection of the outside world, but a more spiritual sense and a more emotional sense. So I think you have to get really objective this week, but also very, emotional. So it's a weird balance between very emotional about creative endeavors, but then also if you feel creatively blocked or some situation, or even like romantically blocked, maybe with a partner, like maybe it's time to like sit with the self and come to the right conclusion about the right things to say before just like blurting out anything that the subconscious just wants to blurt out. So I think you'll find the right answers, but it is like slower. So I think, go about this a little bit slower. You're about to have, an 11th house eclipse, and then an eclipse in your 5th, or in your 6th, I'm sorry, with the lunar. So this eclipse cycle is a little weird for you. But I think when all said and done, like, you're going to feel a really new sense of individuality and liberation, about how to kind of liberate from, I don't know, it's almost like, and this is a weird thing, Geminis can get stuck in like really boring things, and they hate that. And I feel like the South Node finishing up here and getting ready to start to ingress into your 5th is like, are you really just going to keep doing that same old thing that you think you have to do, that doesn't actually provide you with the passion and the feelings and kind of the things that you really want? So I think this is a great week to like really step out of your head a little bit, turn that off, and tune in more internally. And I think you're going to find some great insights and things that have been maybe blocking you, and coming to terms with maybe people too, and where the right connections are or where they are not. Cancer next. Oh, I dropped my pen. All right, Cancer. For you, Sun Chiron in your 10th, full moon in your 4th. So very, Cancerian full moon for you. I know it's not a full moon in Cancer, but full moons are always a big deal. Moon's your ruling planet. It's in the 4th house, which is very Cancerian energy. So I think a lot of this full moon has to do with, a lot of the way that you envision or feel. It has to do with the inward sense of who you are and how you identify. And who you are and how you identify with an Aries 10th house, could be something different outside of yourself or in the world. Cancers will often, put the shell on, get tough in public. But then they got that soft, gooey center down here in the 4th house. So this is, I think, not getting too much caught up in the grind, but not getting too caught up in just maybe being lazy or, taking, vacations or staying home or, just getting put in emotions. Like, you got to find balance and alignment here with both the things you want to dedicate to, what you're going after in life, which can feel almost impossible right now, with Sun Chiron together and Jupiter that met with that just recently. It can feel like there's a lot, and it's things that like you almost don't want to emotionally commit to. But I think this is really about emotional commitment. So if you're going to go after something in this world, make sure that you really feel like, in your projection of life from only the things that are felt within you, which you will only know, just like any of us, we all have Cancer 4th house somewhere. Like, that is something that needs to get into alignment with what it is you're trying to accomplish or take on in this world. If you're just taking on situations for the public, that's going to throw you out of alignment. And if you're only taking on situations that deal with your own personal life and you're completely disregarding, something, I don't know, maybe even just taking a responsibility, then you're going to have conflict of interest, and this can be a very emotionally heightened full moon for you. And it's your ruling planet, so it always deals with your identity. Every full moon, every new moon, you're special like that, Cancer. You're special like that. You also have Mars in your 1st, which I think is great for you. If anybody, can do good with Mars in Cancer, it's a Cancer, where it's at fall position, but it's in your 1st. It's trying to definitely like kick things into motion, get things going. And I think you want to. I think you're like, that's the issue right now, is you want to get things going really badly. But you can't, just do home stuff. You can't just like take the day off if you want to get stuff done in the world. So that's where you have to like understand within yourself, like, what can you change or shift in your own personal life that can help you get towards goals quicker or faster or make you feel like things are going in that direction more. And I think you can definitely make it happen. I think this is kind of one of those full moons that can really ignite something for you. Can really ignite like how to make things happen. But it's finding a balance between, again, like how do I take some time for myself and like feel cozy and feel safe and comfortable and, deal with situations in the home. Because a full moon in the 4th can actually deal with your physical home. There could be some situation that goes on with your home. Maybe a pipe bursts in your house. It's like, oh, well, you better take responsibility and not just, sit around and mourn with Chiron in the sun there that a pipe burst and, oh no, I don't have, or the hot water heater went out. I don't have hot water. Like, well, you got to do something about it. That's the only way to get things done right now. So everything is like a balance right now. You're in a place where I feel like you really do want to start handling business. If you want to handle it, handle it. If you don't actually want that, then, some other situation in life that you have to deal with. But this is like the axis too of emotional, responsibility. So whatever's going on in the world or society or, going on in your life outside, in a sense of where you were placed, job, whatever, don't let it get to you emotionally either. You have to be tough right now. You have to be emotionally tough, but don't put the shell up and just block things out. I feel like, bypassing situations right now isn't going to get you very far either. You have to take emotional responsibility to bring yourself into alignment. That's the ticket here for you. And you have a stacked 11th house. Mercury North Node, Venus, Uranus, quincunx, that full moon. So I think that, I feel like people are the way that, I feel like it's people, whether it's people you watch on the internet like me or somebody in your life, a friend, like I feel like they're actually somebody that, like there's people that want to kind of see you get your thing done. They want to see you handle business. I feel like, especially if they know that you want something right now, but you're like lacking maybe the confidence. I feel like friends could be a big pick-me-up. So I feel like any communication with friends right now is a good thing. Especially with Saturn too, sextile the North Node, sextile Mercury. Like this is a good time, I think, to dedicate to a big belief and to have, a positive outlook. It might look dim, but it's not. Like look for something positive right now. Have maybe it's about looking bigger into the future about what can happen. And it might kind of feel like things aren't comfortable, but that's good. You have to kind of go through weird innovations and experiments and maybe, even relationships or interactions with people to kind of see the bigger vision. So stay on it, especially mentally. I think staying on it and having a bigger vision of things, even if it feels like it is work. Like, is it really work if it makes you happy and if it makes you feel like it's something you really do want to go on some journey for? And it's weird, yeah. I think that Uranus, quincunx, that moon in your 4th from your 11th is the weird thing because you really do have to kind of liberate in a sense and do something odd and different. And that's like the ticket, but it's not comfortable. So it's like, don't just sit in comfort right now. I feel like, with all this happening in, such angular houses for you, there is no, running from it. There's too much kicking forward right now. So just own up to it and go handle business and go invent what it is that's, whatever it is you believe that you want it to be. And how do you connect more? And how do you be more objective? Even the North Node and all this in your 11th house is like, well, Cancer, you got to not be so emotional. You actually have to get a little bit, right? And to be a little bit more objective, a little bit more fixed air-y, a little bit more intelligent. When you can take a step back from just comfort and see the bigger picture, you will push yourself further and farther and it'll feel good and you'll come to some really cool realizations and understandings. So I feel like Cancers need a push right now. Push into a more unique sense of self. Also Pluto's in your 8th. Things are transforming. They're going to over the next 20 years anyways. You're not going to have any say over that. Things are going to transform. And also, I think there's going to be a big desire for, really positive mergers in life. So you're kind of getting, I think, a people pool in place right now, too. Who are the people that really feel connected and aligned and, that can help you? People are your friend. You don't have to do everything by yourself. South Node in the 5th. Remember that. And of course, Venus, Neptune, and sextile as well. I think this is all about, like, gosh, you have to see the vision of these experiments and, like, put the work in and the effort in. If you want it and you have a vision and it feels exciting and makes you happy and feels creative even, like, go for it. What is stopping you right now from trying to experiment with what's more passionate and freeing and liberating? Is it just that it might take some work? Because if it does, stop that. Put the work in, please, Cancer. It'll help you. Leo. All right, Leo, you got a full moon in your 3rd. Very mental for you right now. Dealing with a lot of emotion that's coming out, verbally, probably. This reminds me a little bit of, like, yapping, dog energy, or just, yapping, like, bark, bark, bark. Like, okay, look, let's figure this one out. Like, we got to get things into alignment here. How you feel and how you think need to kind of have a bigger truth. Like, a lot of it comes down to truth. Like, what's true and what's not true? Are we just yapping to yap? Are we just talking to talk? How do we kind of look at a bigger picture in life? How do we look at the positive side too? I think that the Sun Chiron conjunction in your 9th, like, really does want to identify with a positive story, a positive belief, a positive way. And mentally, this is a hard one. And it is dealing with the sun, which is your ruling planet too. So you and Cancer are unique like that. Every full moon, every new moon is very special for both of you. It affects both of your first houses. No other sign has that. So it's how you identify with something that's positive right now, instead of maybe weighing out all these different options. And instead of thinking that it can't happen. I think this is a great time for you to realize that there's so many different, ways that something positive can happen. But maybe the same way that you've been thinking about something that's keeping you emotionally tied up has to be changed. Has to be kind of expelled. So I think a little bit of shift of your perspective right now can go a long way. It could go huge. And you have all this in your 10th house. So don't, forget, like, if your mind isn't in alignment and your emotions aren't in alignment and they're, all over the place and they're just not finding the point, and it's like then it's not like helping you with the important things in life that you really do want to express, that you really do want to achieve, that you really do want to relate to, and the different things that can liberate you, and the people that can be there too with Uranus that can help you find the unique ways. So it's not just like every little thing. Like, I feel like you could be looking for every little thing right now, and it's about there's something bigger for you right now. If you're just worrying and emotionally tied up in the little stuff, and that's what's keeping you busy, I feel like you're missing so much of this big picture at the top of your chart that's trying to have you envision something amazing. Start a crazy new story. Focus on the biggest achievement that you can make right now. And take, the accountability and responsibility. And I think that's what the North Node really does want up there too with Mercury. Like, when you can understand that if you can take responsibility over not even just your mind and your understanding and kind of like consolidate it, because it's very Saturnian in the 10th house, consolidate these things, it can help so much. It really could. And of course, the great aspects, from Venus to Neptune in your 8th. I think you have to be okay with the transformations in life. You have to be okay with, like, letting some things go. Like, you can definitely, with Saturn in the 8th, want to get really controlling over emotions and reactions right now. But it's making great aspects to the North Node. You can also take the responsibility for these deeper passions and emotions that you feel, but do something productive. I feel like this is a great time for productivity for you, but there is like a quieting of the mind a little bit. It's taking you down rabbit holes that's Venus in your 10th, with Neptune, even though it's a sextile. Like there can be this like infinite rabbit hole, and you can go in looking for the why forever and ever and ever. But like, is it just an infinite abyss? Does it ever actually get you to the physical goal that you want? Mars is in your 12th. I think you got to put your action into the things that feel spiritually aligned right now. Like that's something that's going to open this, it's going to pop the top. Like Mars in the 12th can be really, really, really beneficial in our lives. It can help you identify with something hidden that can be extremely creative, that really can go further and farther beyond, and it doesn't have boundaries for where its energy can go, but you can also be energetically drained if you're putting your energy into situations right now that aren't, that they're just keeping you in a loop. So what's keeping you in a loop? And I think it's a mental loop with the full moon. So this is like, the little stuff doesn't matter. Like, what is a big purpose? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? Let's go. Let's make it happen. You're here to do something powerful and big right now. Let's do it. So I think it's just all about perspective and like where you're giving your attention. And if it's out of alignment, Leo, you're going to feel it, and it can be very intense. But at the same time, I mean, what more do you want? You can accomplish, literally, you're in a mix right now of unboundness, but also there's a strictness. So it's like, that's the key too. You can't just go completely unchained, because there's things that you have to stay persistent and dedicated on. And dedicating to those can pop if they're for purpose, if they have meaning. If they don't have meaning, then you're just in a weird story that you want to create. So you are at a fine line with fantasy too, with Mars also, which rules your 9th and disposits all this. So I think it just really, where your mental perspective right now and where it's at is everything, Leo. So look at the positives, get back to your spiritually mature self, make things happen, make great things happen, focus on what's important, and you'll do great. Virgo rising, full moon in the 2nd. Well, deals a lot with value, confidence in the 2nd house. It's very much a need for safety. So I think Virgo, you can be feeling a little out of alignment or emotionally, ramped up about what's safe right now, about what, is feeling like locked in, secured. Like, is the bag secured? Is the relationship secured? Is the home secured? There are all these different things that, in alignment and perfect. Like, you'll emotionally, stress yourself out if you get too caught up in that. You have to kind of like let go a little bit and trust in the 8th house. And that's where all this, Chiron is too. Like, you have a vulnerability right now. The more vulnerable you can be and honest about different things in life that are happening, and realize that you don't have full control over everything. No matter what, 2 weeks from now, there's going to be dust over there. When you just wiped up that dust, there's going to be dust there. It is what it is. There's just certain aspects of life that you can't control, and they might it's one of those times where I feel like you are kind of getting forced to feel things that are making you a little uncomfortable, because they're trying to get you to go deeper into your own self-worth, your own value, your own emotional security that isn't tied to the aesthetic Libra of everything in your 2nd house, but like the deeper meaning of things, the deeper meaning of relationships, commitment, opening up, vulnerabilities. You almost have to like embrace a little bit of fear. It'll be good. It will. Because the 2nd house can be very 4 of coins. Can want to hold on so tight, and that moon there too. Like, this is safe. There's almost like a little risk that you got to take here. Like, a little bit of risk could transform in a big way, and it can, show you some deeper layers to things that you were missing. and help you get to maybe the why about certain situations, which will help you bring more alignment and value to certain situations that are safe, which is what you create within yourself. And, the way you relate to yourself is super important. So I think that this is also like a time where if you've been negatively talking about yourself in any way, stop. That's not bringing any safety either. Like, how do you shore up security is, positive self-talk, feeling good and abundant. So you kind of have to start transforming. And I think realizing that there's so much more than maybe just what's in the bank account or what's, the car or what, something looks like. There's so much more. That's the 8th house. It goes far beyond just the physical. So I think that that's part of the alignment, where it's like, just go deeper for alignment instead of just looking at how perfect or aesthetic something is to find some sense of safety. Embrace your passions. What are you passionate about? Well, if you're passionate about it, trust that it'll work out. Takes a little bit of faith too. So I think trust and faith, just kind of seeing what's up, following your passions, not being scared. With Chiron there, is important for you too. And I think trust is the big one. Whether it's trusting yourself or trusting others, you don't want to just, put the blocks up. I feel like there could be blocks because it doesn't feel safe right now, and this is a great opportunity for growth at understanding that you're more powerful with another person in your life. That's always what the 8th house teaches us. That's why I like merging bank accounts, is very 8th house. You become more wealthy when you have 2, right? Most of the time. So I think that there's also if you're just trying to do everything by yourself, you need to open up and trust that something else can come in and help you instead of maybe trying to control. So you need to find a balance between the right situations that are magnetically being attracted to you, knowing how to trust that they're being magnetized to you for a reason. And I think it is like a little bit of a risk, change the risk. You have Pluto in your 6th now. It's like, okay, your routine's going to change. Your reality, your day-to-day, like the things you thought were healthy probably won't be by the time Pluto leaves Aquarius, like in 20 years. There's just going to be different things, and it's going to take effort, and it's going to, take the ability to be mutable and change things and look at, what makes sense now and what makes sense going into the future instead of maybe the past. And of course, Saturn, Neptune, up there in your 7th. There's a lot going on in the 7th house. So I think relationships, especially with the Libra full moon, there's a lot. Venus is the dispositor of your 2nd house. Your security, is up there in the 9th. I think that you want freedom right now. I think freedom feels good, whether it's learning more, taking in more, being able to just go freely as you want. But Saturn's there too. How can you kind of mix both of that? How can you find people that also want to dedicate to an adventure, merge into something more powerful? So I think it's actually Mercury sextile Saturn, but Venus sextile Neptune. I think that, that too is trying to bring more compassion to maybe trust and help people, or to help let other people maybe come in and help you. I feel like people are definitely something that you're working on with Saturn in your 7th now, and different contracts and different relationships. So to let, that play out as it needs to, you got to be open towards it, whether you're in a relationship or not, because this could be other kind of relationships. It doesn't always have to be romantic. So I guess put it in your context, right? But how do you kind of get things into a more open, more positive, because the North Node is in your 9th. Mercury's in your 9th now. I think that you want to think about the bigger picture, think about how big things can go. Neptune's in the mix with Venus there. There are so many amazing things that you can come into right now by a shift of belief and kind of taking boundaries down. Because if you're just looking for something that's so safe and familiar, whether it is with a person or just some aspect in life, I feel like you're missing where things can go really big here, and you're like trying to stay too safe. And I think that's why Virgos have to like take a risk. It's good risk time. And Mars is up in the 11th house too. So I think it wants to try things. It wants to do something a little different. Mix it up a little bit. You know, start a group. Start something, you know. Do something that helps you feel more unique, but also connects you more to people. And I think it's always, you know, how can you, you know, embrace more of the oddness of your identity at the same time, which can be very freeing and break sort of a mold here. I feel like you're having to have some walls broken down. And I think that it's great if you feel that way, because this is going to open things up so much. And I don't think you want to be scared of how things are trying to break down. Even if it's tax stuff, I feel like this is a crazy tax season for you. It always is. Virgos will trip over their taxes. Aries season in the 8th house. You know, don't sweat the small stuff. Just kind of trust that everything's going to work out, and do something that wants to mix it up. There's safety for you out there. It's just in kind of your positive outlook on life, and I think learning more different things. And even Uranus is quincunx that moon, kind of like, I don't know if that journey will work out. I mean, it may not. That's part of the 8th house too. There's not like a lot of control. It's very, you know, a lot of karmic situations happen in the 8th house. Not that you're in a karmic time, but Jupiter's there. Definitely amplifying certain deeper situations and emotional situations and situations of bonding and passion. And this is a great opportunity to make a change in your life, to have better. If you've been thinking too much or weighing things out about how to make something better, this is a perfect opportunity to make that shift in your life, to expand and transform things. Libra. Well, full moon in your first. All right. So I think, you know, here we are, Sun in your 7th house, Jupiter in your 7th, Chiron, a lot of relationship stuff going on, and you're the sign of relationships, and full moon here in your sign. Like, there can be definitely some things in life that aren't feeling like they match up with what you want, with your direction. Are things in alignment? I mean, gosh, it's pretty lopsided over here on the other end of your chart, Libra. So I think this full moon's a good reminder emotionally for you that if you're feeling like you're not getting maybe a say, you're not getting to do what you want to do, everything's kind of focused on the other, it might be a good time to remember that you got to remember about yourself too. You gotta, what do you really want? Also, if it's flipped on that, Libra, and you're just focusing on yourself, and you're just all in these different things that you're emotionally interested in and want to do and start, I mean, that can cause strife in relationships too, with all that in your 7th house. But I think Jupiter's in your 7th right now too, so I think, you know, there's a lot of abundance and a lot of gifts that can come through others right now, and it can be great. It can also be a lot. And Chiron's there too, so that makes things a little more tricky. So there is a balance here between yourself and others, making sure that things are balanced. You're giving as much as you're receiving, and flip-flop, vice versa, all that good stuff. Because a lot of this energy in your 8th really does want, I think, a really powerful merge and connection, but it's also, you know, trying to kind of break you out of your comfort zone also. You have the South Node in your 2nd. Like, you're also in a place right now where it's not all about like these comforts. Like, you have to kind of embrace deeper layers that are trying to alchemize different situations to manifest. And, you know, magnetize people into your life. It's also flip that magnet and push people away. And maybe this full moon could be feeling like there is a big push-pull at certain areas in your life. Your ruling planet Venus is making great aspects with a sextile to Neptune in your 6th. I mean, I feel like this is like, you don't have to worry so much right now about the day-to-day and like keeping things so, perfect. Like, it's okay to like dream a little bit, daydream a little bit. Go into spend more time in, I don't know, if you're in a relationship, I feel like that's like, stop paying attention to all these daily chores and like, let's go cuddle, like in the 8th house or whatever cuddling leads to. But I think there's something more. Whatever it is, I think you're trying to relate to a deeper passion or a deeper sense that you feel like you need something right now. And you probably do, but I think you have to kind of get out of the intricacies at this moment to see maybe what that is. And it might help you out a lot and kind of break you free and show you that deeper layer of what you do really want that'll make you feel good. And I think that's also where the full moon in your 1st is like, well, yeah, what is making you feel good? Are you getting your passions met? Are you going after your desires too? And Saturn in your 6th, yeah, I mean, it wants you to like get your routine right. It wants you to get things in order. It wants you to like be, on time and like pay attention to life. But I think it's also like paying attention to Mercury and the North Node, which are in sextile to that Saturn. Like, it is like your deeper wants and needs, I think, are important right now. And so are the wants and needs of others. So you have to find a balance there, which is your life. You're always trying to find balance, right, Libra? So again, like, Aries and Cancer, who have all this angular, you do too. Like, there's something kicking the cardinal signs right now. Like, you're getting a little kick here. Mars in your 10th. Like, I think you have to like take a little bit of authority here. You have to take like, it's like using the mental authority for what you really want to get into. What part of life do you really want to penetrate into right now? And does it involve another person? Good. Does it not? Okay, maybe not. But how do you take that step to relate to something that you're really passionate about? That you're like all in for? That you wouldn't want to let go of? But not holding on to some aspect of life that you just feel like is the safe spot. So Mars is trying to get things done in your 10th too. It's like, let's go make it happen. Let's put the effort in. I want to be a business owner. I'm going to put the work in. I'm going to identify as that. I want to be a great parent. Mars in Cancer in the 10th. I want to be a great parent. All right, well, you better identify as such. Whatever you want right now to dedicate to, identify with it. So you have to come back to yourself too. Identify with it. And, I think go for it. And I think it's the things that you're identifying with that you already feel right now with this full moon, your 1st, that aren't really emotionally in alignment. And you're still like staying in those situations just to stay in them for something other than like what you really want. That's the alignment issue here. So I do think that this is a nice kick. This is going to help you take authority back for yourself. It's intense emotionally for you. It's having you maybe like really feel certain aspects that are not in balance. And that's good. It's giving you the identification. So now that those things are being felt and identified, just you have to show up and do the thing. Make it happen. All right. We got Scorpio. Full moon in the 12th house. Well, this is a big, whenever you get the full moon in the 12th, it feels like a big shift, and feels like a lot of emotions bubble up out of nowhere. And it can feel like we can put ourselves into a little bit of an emotional prison at times. Or wonder where these emotions are coming from. You know, maybe I wasn't feeling this way 2 days ago. Like, where did this come from? The emotions are trying to, really show what it is that is no longer serving. On both a physical level with all this sixth house, on a day-to-day basis, but also spiritually in the 12th house, what's no longer serving you, where maybe you've been trying to escape reality. Definitely a lot of like unconscious triggers can be coming up for Scorpios. And I think that these are great. These are such good, it's moments where we get, clarity on these subconscious things that we overlook and don't pay attention to, and they just kind of go around in the background. They just kind of loop in the background. Like, this is a great time to see what that is. And if you can, see it and understand it emotionally and feel it, gives you a great opportunity to start sixth housing it and make changes. And I don't think that it's, about over, also, it's balance and alignment here. If you just do sixth house at the same time too, and you just like are constantly reorganizing things and staying so into reality, same situation, you're just going to feel really stressed and entrapped by these emotions. So I think it's another good time for you to like take a little bit of a time out, feel everything that's happening, and then, start to do the day by day, step by step. It's a step by step thing. It can feel a little humbling. It can feel like there's some kind of atonement happening. It's not like a bad thing. This is a good thing. It's purifying. It's a purifying alignment that's trying to happen for you, Scorpio. So I think there is a little bit of that. I mean, I think, your 6 is stacked, right? It's just a full moon in your 12th. But I do think this energy carries on until the next, new moon. So it's like, also don't forget about when you need to take a time out. Give yourself the time out. Don't stress yourself out and like hurt yourself or, get some anxiety attack because of, so much happening in reality or so much happening in the day-to-day or all these different, responsibilities or things that have to get done or services. Like, remember to take a deep breath and breathe. So I think that this full moon's helping you feel what it is that you can get more in alignment within the day-to-day and, I think a lot of spiritual growth for you, Scorpio. Mercury in the North Node, sextile Saturn in your 5th. I think this is definitely a time like where relationships, because you have the North Node there, it's been there, right? What is it? April, May, June, July, 2.5 months left of that North Node in your 7th, and the South Node in your 1st. So like, this is a great time, I think, to realize that people can be a great help and like, they can also bring a lot of fun in your life. So I think that focusing on the relationships that are, also with Libra ruling your 12th house, Venus being the dispositor of that 12th, and this moon making good aspects to Neptune. There's a lot of 7th, 5th house here for you. Like making sure that relationships are spiritually aligned. Making sure that, it's relationships that aren't, this factor that's taking you into the abyss away from the day-to-day, because you do want to be like handling business. I think that's important for you too. But I think that also like, what is fun? What is bringing love? What is bringing your creative nature, your creativity out? That's another thing about the 12th house. It's trying to like unbound and like unlock pure like conscious creativity through like our unconscious and like really channeled creativity. So I do think that there is something here too where it's like for Scorpio there is like an immense amount of something that needs to get expressed and like at least talked about with someone, at least brought out to another like party and not just kept in. especially Pluto in your fourth too. Like, if you're just going to hide these deep emotions or desires, I don't think that's going to help either. You're having to like be vulnerable and trust that you can talk to people, you can do things with people, like you can go back and forth, like you don't have to do it all by yourself. And I think that it's empowering you to know that. And Mars is in your ninth, which I think it can really help because that's one of your ruling planets, Mars and Pluto. Like that can help you a lot here in Cancer. It can really help you see the positive side of things. Really give you the energy and the enthusiasm to go try something, go further, learn more, take on more information in a way that you really believe, like philosophically, like aligns with who you are. And maybe relationships that align with that situation. Mars is also sextile the North Node and Mercury. Also trine Saturn. So I think like love and passion and like something that's trying to go in a similar way can be really, really, really valuable for you right now. And you want to like let people maybe like, let people have their say too. Because a full moon in the 12th can also make it feel like everybody's out to get you. Like it's the house of hidden enemies too, right? So like not everybody's out to get you. All this sixth house, you'll see them. It's not a hidden thing. So you can see who really wants to, I think, help you find alignment, help you find beauty, help you find, different ways that you can relate to your day-to-day life better, that are more productive, that are more creative, and that have like a bigger vision for you. So, trust people's opinion. I think that it holds a lot of value for you too right now. Obviously, you know too what you're passionate about. You have a vision too. So it's just a matter of that balance as well. Sagittarius. Saggy. Full moon in the 11th. This brings up a lot of people situations, emotions around friends, groups. Different sort of projects too, innovations. If you're trying to, try something different, that it could be an emotional time around that. It's also a moon in the 11th, which isn't, a super emotional place for the moon. So it's kind of like, I don't think you want to get too distrusting of feelings right now. I think they are trying to show you objective truths that can be felt, that'll help you find different, ways to align and also empower and encourage, different levels of your creativity, and maybe get you out of creative blocks, like Sun Chiron in your fifth. That's, it's not the most fun thing. Like that can feel definitely like creatively wounded in some way, which I think a Sag would hate that. So I would hate for any Sag if they felt that way right now. Like it won't be like that forever. It's kind of just getting, a light shined on it, if you will, right now. It's going to be there for a while, of course. It's not by any means done with your fifth Chiron, but still. There's a lot of abundance right now. I think you need to really like trust your heart and remember that like your creative nature, doesn't have to fit any mold. And I think that's where this can be a really liberating full moon for you, Sag, is like if you're not doing things just by the books and you're really unlocking your creative, potential and doing things your way and not feeling like that's a weird way or that's the wrong way or people are going to judge it. You know what? Who cares? I feel like for you right now, like, are you excited? Are you happy? Are you into it? Does your mind feel just, with Pluto in the third now, is your mind just fully invested with your heart here? Like, are you ready? So I think it does, like, for you, it's like a balance. Like, you need to find a lot of courage right now to be creative and do the things that make you happy and fully expressive and, show your gifts. But you know what? I think the full moon's showing you that, like, there's a weirdness there and there's an oddness and it's different. And, like, who cares what other people think? You have to kind of, like, go about that and, like, brush it off. Be like, no, don't care. You know, I think the moon in the 11th has to remember, like, it's always going to feel differently. But that's what's unique and different, and that's what, like, people like, is, like, it's showing that too. So, could be, you know, showing emotional differences with friends and situations or groups or, you know, different places where you're around people in life, but it's all right. I think you also have to, you know, realize that, yeah, you have a lot in your fifth house, and that's great. It's empowering, it's creative, it's fun. But, you know, other people are empowering, creative, and fun too, even if they're doing something different. So I think you have to, you know the boundary, know the fine line between all that, and you'll be good. Your ruling planet, Jupiter, it's in the fifth house with the sun. Jupiter's, you know, pretty stoked here in the fifth for you, I think. I think Jupiter's like, yeah, past Chiron, like, let's amplify this love, baby. Let's fucking go. Let's identify with fun things. And I mean, for you, it's kind of interesting, like Lilith, just kind of noticing it in your ninth. Like, you can feel like a little, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's like scared. Like, Sages are like scared to, like, in some way do the crazy radical thing that they know will make them happy, and they want to, you know, really show it, but they're like a little unsure about that journey. Like, that, you don't need to be. You have, you know, Mars also in your eighth house. Like, this is a great time for you to just intuitively act on what you feel. You're passionate, what you feel like is just, yes, I want it. I'm going to go get it. I'm so attracted to this thing. You know, it's going to make me happy. It makes me feel, you know, love and passion. This is, you know, pretty positive for Sag. But if you're letting people or groups dictate your happiness and make you feel less than or wounded, and stop. This is not a time to hold yourself back. You should be amplifying your courage and persona. And all the sixth house, you know, and also south node in your 12th, like north node in your 6th, Mercury north node. And like, be, you know, real about things too. Like, you can't just escape situations right now. I think you got to be real about them, and you got to, like, go about them as is. Like, what's the fact, you know, of the matter? Your 4th house is stacked. Saturn's in there now. Like, that feels like that's an emotional heavy time. It makes us, you know, have to put effort into our own emotional responsibility. So I don't think, you know, you definitely don't want to bypass situations right now. I think you want to be really real, really honest. You know, express changes that you want, come to the understanding of things that you want, and actually, like, do the thing to mold reality. Like, you get the understanding, you see what can be creative, you see what can, you know, you desire, like, actually do the thing. Like, for you, I feel like, you know, you've done enough of the vision board with the South Node transiting your 12th house. Now, how do you actually change reality to get the product that you desire that can be more purifying? And Venus is there, so it feels a little, like, oh gosh, I just want all these things that are going to feel good, but it takes work and effort. And Uranus is there, trying to have me do something radical. Full moon in my 11th. Yeah, like, do something a little radical. Venus, Neptune. I think, like, intuitively, like, it's easy for you right now. Like, you're very tapped in intuitively. It's just like the doing and the purification and the aligning process right now, so that you can get out of any sort of block and really embrace your courage and your uniqueness, and not feel like you're just, you know, following the crowd. Feel like you're kind of like stepping up and, like, leading the crowd. And that's a good thing if you feel that way, and step into that. Cap rising. Well, you got a full moon in the 10th. And just like the other cardinal signs, this one's kicking, but you're the only cardinal sign that has nothing, not even Pluto in its sign anymore. What a weird time for Capricorns. No Pluto in your first, for the moment. It'll be back later this year. But I think this full moon in the 10th is a big deal, because it's emotionally heightening situations around work, around your career, around things that you're really trying to dedicate to, around your responsibilities. You can be emotionally sensitive to things that you kind of have to just suck it up and do. Or, it is Libra, like work relationships. What is your relationship to work right now? There's a lot of fourth house here. I think that, you don't want to just go trying to build the Eiffel Tower if you haven't poured the foundation. And so I think you're having to do a little bit of both. Like, see, like, are you really emotionally committed to situations, or are you realizing that the foundation here isn't really what you thought it was? Or it doesn't feel right, or it feels like it needs to be fortified more here and like touched up here. I think that there's certain things that need to be shifted from and examined to make sure that, you're really doing things from a place within yourself that you feel is solid. And that's like from a very emotional place. And you also have to make sure that like you're not just, if you're just going for the career, well, are you finding balance and alignment with your home life, your family? Are you taking care of, certain needs that need to be done at home? Like, different areas like that are important right now, and it can't just all be career. It can't just all be home either. So I think you're having like a balance point there, but Jupiter's here in your fourth. There's a lot of good things that can happen when you do chill out for a minute and you don't overexhaust yourself, and you feel things and you don't repress things. I would say for you, Cap, it's like you can't just repress your feelings. All right, we're back. Sometimes my internet just drops for no reason. It's really annoying. We're back though, right? Yeah, we're back. Okay. So. Sorry about that. But yeah, Mars in your seventh, it does deal with like, it wants to identify with balance. It wants to identify with things being fair. It wants to be a good, peacekeeper, but it also gets, angry. So people can kind of like flare up things in your ego right now. I think you want to like remember other people have feelings too. You have feelings too. Like, you got to find some balance between that situation also. And I think, with Saturn, your ruling planet, here in your third house, like, you have to take control of your mind. You have to kind of take control of how you're going to speak. You have to, speak responsibly, think responsibly, but also in a Piscean, third house way for you. Keeping this big vision, keeping things going. But I don't know. I feel like, for you, you're in an interesting place where something has to change within your relationship to the work you do. And it also has to be something you're emotionally down to take on. And it has to, there's people influence, and Mars trine Saturn is, definitely a big one for you. And also Mercury North Node, sextile Saturn. So that's a big deal. I think that you have like there's a message, like you got to like step up and, bite the bullet and say things right now too. You can't just like go hide away inside. So I think it's like, yeah, feel emotion, but like also be able to express everything that you're feeling. Because that'll help you find balance and align different situations with relationships, with work, with home, family situations. And you have a stacked fifth house, right? Venus, Uranus, the North Node, Mercury. Third, Venus is making a good aspect to Neptune in your third. Some things too mentally just have to be kind of just let go. Like, does it really involve love? Does it really involve things that you want to create? Does it make you happy? If not, then why are you spending so much effort trying to communicate it with Saturn there? So I think that this is like, something's changing that you have to take responsibility for. It's a big thing because it's something that deals with something you really want to go after, or you want to build, or you want to make happen, or you want to be known for, or something you want to take on in life. But like, if it doesn't fit what makes you happy, if it doesn't fit what makes you feel really true and identified with yourself and abundant from within and fully creative and expressive, then this is a great time to make a change. Because I think a lot of focus is on you understanding creative potential and the emotional power you have that can be so positive for what you want to get done and how to relate. And how to really, understand like how to feel safe within yourself too. And to kind of learn to trust yourself. So, pretty big full moon for Capricorn. Pretty big full moon for all the cardinal signs, really. All right, Aquarius. You got a full moon in your 9th. So, this is definitely like beliefs, could be changing because of these feelings. There could be some emotions coming up that are like trying to make a shift from one belief to another. Trying to maybe go into a deeper philosophy even. Like maybe feeling like they're emotionally like you haven't found enough and you want more. Which can kind of be a never-ending abyss at times in the 9th house. It is a wide open. It gets real open there in Jupiter's house. So I think you have to too remember 3rd house things and like narrow things down and remember how to express things that you want or different beliefs or different philosophies you may have, and also not be too pushy or dogmatic about situations. You might really know things right now, Aquarius. You might be feeling very like in tune actually with your intuition, but you also can't assume that everybody else is going to feel or know what you know. So I think you have to be willing to like go through debate process. This week, like you might get into some debates and have to express what it is you're believing or feeling, or what's kind of trying to take you somewhere further. It could be mentally, potentially actually travel in the 9th house, or maybe you didn't get to travel and that has you emotionally tied up. You're stuck in your community, 3rd house, like, it's little things, but I think that you have to find the balance between like going way far out, going the intuitive side, but also, paying attention to fact, paying attention to what needs to be expressed, what needs to be said, how to have good debate, how to go back and forth with what really matters to you. And you have Pluto in your sign for the first time. So very, interesting for you. I think you're starting to see a deeper side of yourself. And maybe in just the beginning of it. I mean, this is a long transit, but that kind of a Pluto coming into your sign or crossing your rising, I mean, and then getting a full moon even in the 9th, like that can really be eye-opening. I mean, this could be like an eye-opening situation for you, and I think it's like accepting that there's mutation. You have a lot in these cadent houses, these mutable houses, and this full moon's in the mutable. So it's like there's a mutation process going on with you, Aquarius, right now, and it's okay to identify with a different belief or a different situation. Uranus, your ruling planet, is also quincunx this full moon. Venus was just with it. You're in this place with all this stacked 4th. Internet, man. Ever since Pluto came into Aquarius, my internet has just pay way too much for this internet for it to not work. I'm sorry. Well, it's back now. Alright. Hopefully it stays good for a little while. It's weird too, like it's not dropping frames, it's just like completely just anyways. Well, I think I was talking about Uranus quincunx the moon here for you in your 9th and in your 4th. So it's like you're having to like understand and identify with really odd emotion. And I think that is changing this like outlook and different feelings and how you're also using your intuition. And I think like through that change is like you have to get a little bit more, not so right brain or intuitive but more like analytical, which I think you can be good at. So I think this is a good thing because it's helping you get, the right facts in order in different parts of your life that, you felt like maybe you wanted to go out really far right now, but you're kind of getting everything dialed in with what's close to you in your personal life, the things close by. And I think that that's good. And I think if you can understand and accept that and embrace this transformation, you're going to start to see that like the way you relate to not only your journey but other people's journeys is going to be so much stronger and fortified because of this that's going on currently. And also Venus, Neptune I think is a good one in your second house, from second to fourth. I feel like you can be almost a little fearless right now, in a sense. Like, as long as you feel comfortable and safe within yourself and you feel like you're, doing everything from an inner place that feels right and steady, then it's going to feel really good. But I think if you're just doing things also for something else, or, just work, just career, just for maybe what you were taught, but not really finding this inner base that you're creating for yourself right now, it could feel like a weird loop in a little bit of ways. And Saturn in your second's definitely, trying to test a little bit of your like your self-worth. Like, are you going to keep showing up for yourself? Are you going to take care of yourself? Are you going to feel good? Are you going to relate to yourself in a, very mature, disciplined way? Or are you going to start to doubt yourself? Don't doubt yourself. It's in great aspects to the North Node and Mercury in your fourth house. I think it's extremely important for you to feel good about yourself, no matter what changes might take place, no matter what beliefs could change. If you can like really build a strong relationship to yourself and fortify that, and your emotional life and your home life and your personal life right now, it's going to set you up for a really big, future. And there's a lot of positive things to look for. And Mars is also making good aspects to that Saturn, your other ruling planet, in your second. It's in your sixth. I think Mars is like, Mars wants you to handle business too in the sixth. It wants you to like be real about how you're feeling. Express things. Start cleaning things up in your reality that don't fit what you actually want, that you're emotionally like, yeah, I want this feeling back. Because it's almost like the numbing's coming off in a big way for Aquarius, and that can change perspectives. So I think that there could be like different perspectives changing for Aquarius, which can be weird for an Aquarius, and you could feel a little off. But I think you need to trust yourself. You need to trust that change is your friend. And you need to trust that your feelings and your emotions are your best friend right now. And whatever they're trying to show you is trying to help you on your journey and help you pinpoint different facts and truths about maybe what needs to be purified or identified within your reality that you can get to work on. Pisces. Pisces. All right, Pisces. You got a full moon in the 8th house. This is definitely an intense one for Pisces. This one's hard. This one, there's like a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings and a lot of different, aspects. And even having, an 8th house that's ruled by Libra could deal with, of course, people and relationships. Some things have to go. We can't hold on to maybe certain ways that we relate. We kind of have to come to this moment where we have to trust. We have to trust that things are going to work out. We have to trust that things are fine. We have to trust others in general. And we have to be vulnerable too. So this can feel like a very like force into vulnerability for you, Pisces. And it can feel very sensitive and a little scary. And it is kind of dealing with, of course, you guys get your full moon during tax season too. Like, poor Pisces. Having to deal with like 6th house stuff with a full moon, heightening their emotions around like, 8th house, death, sex, and taxes. But I think this is also, it's shifting perspective on how to merge or different feelings around, like, you have to let go of certain things. You can't hold on to every emotion, or you can't emotionally, think that somebody else knows. I think that this is where you have to be able to speak up. You have a lot of third house. Mercury's in your third, north node. You want to be able to express things. Even Uranus quincunx this. You got to be able to express deeper wants or deeper needs, or how to be vulnerable, or how to get what you want, how to receive also. But it's a little scary. This can feel like a kind of a scary time for Pisces. And maybe it's just like an internal thing. Like an internal transformation that's happening. That's like, whoa, I really feel weird. Why do I feel weird? There's like a shift taking place. It's trying to remind you too of your second house with Sun, Chiron, and Jupiter in opposition here, and like finding balance between like you are safe, you are good, you don't need to rely on this emotional, desire that somebody else will keep you safe. I think you have to accept that people come in and they want to keep you safe, or they don't. But like safety and security is really from within. It's from knowing that you're solid, building a good relationship to yourself. So, if you're having any sort of thing in situation, Pisces, going on where you're feeling like abandoned or betrayed, or, like passion's leaving in an area, or something's just not fully, merged, it's just because you need to remember to feel safe and secure and beautiful and abundant, and that you can have the things that you want. And you can create the things that you want. You can nurture yourself back to anything in life right now, no matter how, deep it can feel. But it's a very, very, very intense emotional time for Pisces in the 8th house. It's like confronting you with fears. So your emotions are confronting you with fears. You have to remember to like self-soothe, take care of yourself. Express what feels good. Express what maybe you need in life. Talk to people. This is a time, I think, where you're going through a big grow up. Saturn in your sign. So like there's a mature way to go about identifying with these things now. So you might be going about this in a way like where you're actually starting to maybe see like, oh, I see this emotional pattern maybe playing out, and I can understand that I have to, identify with this in a more responsible way so that I can go through the next metamorphosis of the 8th house when those transits come, when we get into Libra season. But I think you can be feeling more in authority or in power than maybe you have been in a while, even though Pluto's in your 12th, and that's a different energy, but it's very intense and very Piscean. So I think that there is something, about that 12th house for you, Pisces, that is good, because it's very psychic and deep, and Saturn's trying to say, look, you definitely gotta identify with the transformation that's taking place. Don't keep repeating things or staying obsessive over situations that actually don't make you feel secure or comfortable or empowered. And Neptune in the first, and that's your ruling planet, and Venus, they're in that sextile, Venus in your third. I mean, I think that too, like, if you want magic, you want merger, you want bonding, you want, different things in life, you gotta say what you need, say what you want, and don't think that people already just know. So you might be getting confronted too with situations in that kind of manner. Like, this is a great time for you to speak up. Not everybody feels like you do, so you can't expect people to feel that way either, or to know, what kind of intensity you're going through. If you need help with something, ask for help. Somebody will come through. If you just need to take care of yourself and take that moment to pay attention to what makes you feel good, and, then do that. But this is like a really strong, I think this is like trying to help you mentally in a big way. Like mentally really pay attention to what's going on around you. Situations that are magnetically opposing each other and going different ways, and situations that are really the bond, the thing. And Mars is in your fifth. So that's super good for you too. I think that like if you're like really identifying with the creative side of your life and like taking the action necessary to, even with Saturn and trine to that in the first, like if you're really dedicating and taking action here for what you know will make you happy and let you feel creative and expressive, and you know, you're going to find the passion you're looking for, and you'll feel very secure and very safe. And, you know, all these things that you're feeling, you know, might not even be yours. And, you know, at the same time, you don't need those things anyways. You could create something, anything you want right now. As long as you feel valuable and you feel strong within yourself and you feel like you can express. Use your throat chakra to manifest. You can't just manifest if you don't act or speak. You know, just a manifestation, just a vision board isn't gonna, you know, make the creative projects or the creative passions or, you know, fun things come to life. You actually have to do it. So I think this is a good example of like, you have a lot of authority in yourself right now, and there's a lot of things that can pop off for you right now, but you have to trust and you have to, you know, kind of break out of a comfort zone and not, you know, get too attached to certain situations or people if they're, you know, not helping you embrace that side of you. All right. I'll timestamp all these after I post it. Hope you enjoyed. I'll be back in 2 weeks for the new moon, the solar eclipse on April 19th. I can't believe it's eclipse season coming up. Square Pluto. 29. Yeah, it's a big one. Nodes are starting to square Pluto. I think this is where things start to get a little spicy. Things are already spicy, but it's like the next layer of spice are coming. So I'm excited to do those horoscopes with you all, and I hope this was helpful. And gosh, I appreciate you all so much in the chat. I wish I could have seen more, but it was cool. There was a good amount of people in here for a little bit. I love to see it. I just want to say too, I appreciate you guys so much. The channel's grown so much over the last year. It's just been like, it's epic. I just love to see it. I mean, it's like my pride and joy, this channel, you know. It's, since we're in a full moon in Libra, I'll tell a little story, and I'll show you too, because I do have it, I think. Do I? Oh, it's not on here. It's on here. April 7th. So, oh, my camera's a little wonky on this because I was using this screen for live with Lauren and Brian, for Lauren and I, and we're lower to match that other chair. But nonetheless, this is the chart of April 7th, 2020, and it was a full moon in Libra at 18 degrees. And I will never forget this full moon. So there's something about whenever Libra full moons come up that are just like, they're special to me, because it was on this day that I just had a really, really profound spiritual experience. And I had been studying astrology since January, like intense. Like every day I was just consumed, because I had already like made the decision that I wanted to be an astrologer. And I remember sitting out under this full moon and just like having the most profound experience with some really good friends of mine. And it was just something else. And it was a week after this, April 14th, that I did my first horoscope on this channel. So it was April 14th, 2020, that I did my first public horoscope. So yeah, it's just, there was something about this full moon and like the moments that I had with myself and spiritually on this night of Tuesday, April 7th, that was a huge catalyst for everything that happened in my life right now, or that's part of my life. Which is interesting because I put it like on top of my chart, and like I've already looked at this, but like I'll share it with you. Like it was profound. Like I had Jupiter and Pluto conjunct my Mercury at 25 Capricorn. I had Saturn that was actually on my progressed karma asteroid. But Saturn also came back, of course, and went over my Mercury again, but it was so much mercurial stuff, which Mercury rules my third house, which is, communication, expression, which this was like the first time that I really, I finally broke out to like have the confidence to like speak publicly. It was really hard for me actually, and now I do it every day, but it was just big there. Sun, moon on my, rising and descendant, which this full moon is like exactly on my ascendant, descendant, and also like making really good aspects to my nodes. But I just thought, it was so interesting to see some of this stuff play out, and even my progress chart. But I was in my exact Uranus trine, and it was like the third hit of that, and my north node is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is one of the rulers of astrology, and modern astrology. Mercury, of course, is the ruler of traditional astrology and Hermeticism, which I think is very important. So just having like Jupiter, Pluto, Mercury, and then my Uranus trine coming off a Saturn return in my 10th, where I decided I wanted to change my career. This full moon was huge, and like the south node had passed all my planets, so it's just kind of funny looking back. So Mercury was sextile my Mercury. I just had so much Mercury. There's just, my Mercury is getting blasted. I love it. So good stuff. Venus on my part of fortune. North node on my Jupiter. There was just cool stuff going on. So just moments like that, I'm sure we all have them where you can be like, look back and, be like, wow, such a thing. But it was a full moon in Libra that, I feel like was the catalyst for this channel. So I thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for everybody that joined. I hope those horoscopes are beneficial for you in any way, shape, or form. I hope the dailies are helpful. And I'll see you in 2 weeks for another sun sign horoscope session for the solar eclipse in Aries, 29 degrees. And see you every day. And then tomorrow, Lauren and I will be live doing some of those donation chart readings. And we'll put who's on that list in that when I schedule it tomorrow. So, love you all. Thanks for being here. And I will see you next time. Much love. Peace.